Hello, hello.
Hello, Maureen.
And people are coming in. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome from Singapore. It's 8 p.m. here. It's dark already.
Welcome from Heerlen, Belgium. Not that big as Singapore, but tell us where you're from in the chat. We love to hear it. So Renske, welcome. Dutch people, of course. Hey, Vikas is also here in the from India, from the Netherlands.
Wow,
Yes.
hi everyone.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Fred from Belgium.
We are about to begin in a few minutes. I'm going to already explain you. Is this your first webinar or second or even more? Tell us in the chat. Hello, Australia. Istanbul. We have Istanbul. Hello, Owana. Welcome to this beautiful webinar with Sally Forrest. It's all about the soul and passion and purpose today, Sally.
Passion and purpose, the most two important things in life. Finding your passion, finding out why we're here, Maurice. That's the most important thing in life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Welcome, Germany. I see Germany in our webinar. England. I think we have people from all places today.
Fantastic.
Thank
Fantastic.
you. Philippines as well.
Hi, Philippines. I love the Philippines. Hi, Dina from England.
Thank
Hi,
you for joining us.
I think, Maurice, if I shout loud enough, the people from Singapore can hear me because Singapore's quite small. So if they open their windows, they'll be able to hear me anyway.
Beautiful.
We're all in lockdown still.
Let me see. Yeah, we wait 1 minute and then we start because we are going to take a journey this 60 minutes. I'm really excited. I'm always excited, especially today with Sally Forrest.
Thank you. Thank you, Maurice. Life is supposed to be fun and full of excitement. If it's not, you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah, very nice. Tell me, people, where, how many power webinars did you follow already? Is this your first one, your second, maybe your fourth? It's actually the 16th, Sally, today.
This is the 16th one you've done?
One sixth power webinar since I'm doing it.
Fantastic, Maurice. And today is a wood day.
A wood day. Tell me more, Sally. Let's just begin. I met you a couple of years ago through your beautiful husband, Vikas Malkani. He performed on stage in the USA.
Correct.
I was blown away by the power of his storytelling about wisdom. Then I met you last year. Yes, we went deep. Tell me more about that. What was it for journey to meet me?
Yeah, so I met you the first time when Vikas was speaking in America, and then the following year I was speaking in Los Angeles and you were there. And I remember I was telling a story about the orphanage and you came up to me at the end and you were quite moved. So we spoke a lot, we became good friends, and then you asked me to be part of your platform, which was very exciting for me. And then we started a tour of Europe, which was really good fun, in Belgium and in Holland, where we were speaking, and where we met some very interesting people, including Herman van Rompuy, the first president of the European Council. And we ate strawberries together, lots of strawberries together.
These ones, you mean?
You guys have the best strawberries in the world.
Here you go.
Thank you. Oh, tempting. And you brought the best Belgian chocolate in the world.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when a man brings you strawberries and chocolates, you know that you're destined to be friends for life.
Sure. I don't treat people with money. I treat them with strawberries and chocolate.
So we had a very interesting few days together in Europe, and that was great. And we met some very nice people, and we spoke on some good stages, and you managed some fantastic events, Maurice. So I'm eternally grateful.
Yeah, life is a journey, and it's all about how you engage with people, how you can help them, of course. My name is Maurice van der Kamp. For the people who first joined this power webinar, I'm one part the CEO of a speakers bureau called Assemblée Speakers, and the other part, my mission and my world vision is all about bookingworldspeakers.com. How can we engage more, collaborate more in the speaking and event industry? And I'm happy that Sally and 𝒃𝒐𝒏𝒄𝒂𝒌𝒆𝒓𝒔 is part of that journey. And how are you feeling now in this? Yeah, Singapore did it really well in the lockdown.
Singapore has been amazing. We are still in lockdown, although we don't call it lockdown, we call it circuit breaker because it's a much nicer name. But Singapore government have been amazing. There have been only 25 deaths, which is unbelievable. The only issue we have at the moment is with the dormitories and the foreign workers, and because they're packed together quite tightly, then there's been a sudden spike in cases there. But these are young, healthy young men, and so they're all coming through it well. So that's been fine.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim. Sorry, I forgot that. When you have internet connections, because we people from all over the world are joining us, there's just one button in the top of your screen, reconnect, and problems will solve. Don't think in problems, think in solutions. Let's start this beautiful webinar, the soul of passion and purpose, and how to create our own destiny and take change of your own life. That's the title of this webinar. It's a beautiful title, of course, but first, how many people do know Sally, really? Who are you? Tell me more about you.
Well, Maurice, if I think about who I am now and who I was, 25 years ago, it's almost like it's two different women. It's quite unbelievable. It's like you're talking to two different women. So I just want to share a little bit about my story with you, because I think it's really interesting to sort of understand the journey as to how I got to where I am today. So I was born in a very small village in the UK, and I was one of 5 daughters. So we had a very big family with very little resources. So it was very humble beginnings. And there were only 2 streets in this village. So it was tiny, tiny, tiny village. And from a young age, really, I was conditioned that if you want to do well in life, you've got to go out and get an education, get a good job, and go up the career ladder. So that really was my conditioning, and that's what I did with my life. So what I did was I looked around and I thought, who is the most intelligent, who is the most successful person in this tiny village where I live? And it was a guy who worked for a company called Boots. And to be a manager of this company, you had to become a pharmacist. So I looked around the village, he was the most successful person, and I decided I'm going to emulate this guy and I'm going to become a pharmacist. So I went off, I did my university, I did my MBA, and I became a pharmacist, and I started working for the company called Boots. And so I applied myself and I started to go up the external ladder. I was getting bigger job, nice house, nice car, good salary, and then they promoted me again to a bigger job, bigger job, bigger job. And before long, I was managing one of the best stores in the company, and I had 400 staff reporting to me. And it was a really big organization, and we were taking £1 million a week. So the money was just like rolling in, 400 staff, very huge business. And then I remember it was in 1997, and it was just 6 days before Christmas. And when you're really on a high, and I was like all dressed in the corporate attire, I had a nice red suit on, and this was before mobile phones and all of this. And there was a tannoy message, will Sally please go to her office? So I ran up the stairs, all excited. We'd broken all our records. It was 6 days before Christmas. I was on an absolute high. And I walked in my office and I picked up the phone, and it was my father. And he just said, Sally, there is no way to tell you this. Your mother has just died. And Maurice, this was one of those moments where you go from an absolute high to suddenly thinking, what on earth is life all about? And I remember, and I just looked at the wall and I just thought, Sally, you've got all the externals. You've got the big job, you've got the big car, you've got the money, you've got the career. You know how to handle all the externals, but now inside of you, you've got no way of managing this emotion, managing this news. So it was like I went into what I call now the void, because I suddenly realized I'd been chasing the externals all of my life, and what was the purpose of it? Because the person I loved the most in the world had died, and she was young and she was healthy and she had just died.
At what age, how old were you?
She was 59. I was about 35. So I went into what I call this void, and then it was almost like the universe took over, because Boots a few weeks later decided they were going to expand internationally. And they said to me, Sally, look, we're expanding internationally. We really want you to be part of the team. We're going to go into Asia and we're going to open some stores in Thailand. Now, had my mother not died, I would not have said yes, because I was so close to her, so attached to her, and she was a big part of my life. But I heard this universe giving me this opportunity, and I said to myself, I said, yeah, I'm going to do this. So I went to Asia, and we started opening stores in Thailand, and we opened 70 stores in 3 years. So the cycle started again, you know, giving people jobs, excitement, giving people opportunities. But Maurice, you know what happens in life? If you don't learn the first time, a second wave will come. So after 3 years in Thailand, Boots called me one day and they said, you've done a great job, but we want you back in England. So I said, huh? You know, I'm having a ball here in Thailand. Nope, come back to England. We want you to downsize the corporate company. Now, if you work in the corporate world, you know what this means. You've got to make people redundant. So my work permit depended on it, so I had to go back. And I went back to the UK, and every morning when I woke up, it was talking about which people were going to make redundant today. 2,000 people had to lose their jobs. And I was one of the people sitting down and talking to these people. And again, I suddenly had that realization, what am I doing with my life? You know, I'm chasing these externals, and when the companies had enough of people, they just got rid of. So it was like every morning I woke up and my heart was dying, and I just knew deep down, I had this intuition, I just knew this wasn't the life I was meant to be living. So after 18 years in senior management, I just quit my job. And everybody thought I was crazy. My father thought I was crazy. My sisters thought I was crazy. My friends and my family thought I was crazy. But I just knew in my heart, this was not what I was meant to do with my life. This was not my passion. This was not my purpose. And I was just living to pay the bills. And every day it was like the vibrant energy was being sucked out of me. It was like I was just not doing the job. I was not living the purpose I was meant to live. So the morning I woke up and I said, I'm going to quit, this voice came out and said, I'm going to quit, and I'm going to take myself back to Asia, and I'm going to open an orphanage. So I don't quite know where this came from, even to this day, but I'd enjoyed Thailand so much that I decided I really wanted to give back. So I decided, right, I'm going to do this. So I brought myself back to Asia with the intent of opening an orphanage. Because whilst I'd lived in Thailand, I'd met a very old missionary who had the passion to open an orphanage, but he didn't have any business skills. And here I was, you know, a hotshot businesswoman thinking, you know, I'm not just going to quit my job and do nothing. I'm going to quit my job and do something, and I'm going to give back to the world. I'm going to give back to society, and I'm going to open the orphanage. So I actually decided to bring myself back to Singapore. So I based myself in Singapore because it was easier to live there. Everyone spoke English, and, you know, the work permit and everything was so much easier. So anybody I talked to, as soon as I landed in Singapore, I kept saying, you know, I'm going to open this orphanage. It's a dream. You know, I'm determined to do this. And people were just like, oh, great. You know, nice to know you. Carry on, you know, enjoy the orphanage. So one day I got on a flight, and this is a really amazing story, Maurice. I got on a flight to go to Thailand, and we were going to look for the land. So I'm still in corporate mode. You know, I just left the Boots maybe about 3 months earlier. And I got off the flight and I was at the passport control, and it was a really funny sight because I got off the flight fast because I was all busy and fast, and I was standing right at the front of the queue, and I'm really tall, and I was standing at the front of the queue in Thailand, And then I looked round and there was all the Thai people who were much shorter than me and all with dark hair. And then right at the back, there's a tall expat guy. And I just looked at this scene and I thought, I look like a giraffe and he looks like a giraffe. And then in the middle, there's all these people with dark hair. So I just like turned around and I just smiled and I just like waved at this person who I didn't know. But intuition told me just be friendly and smile and say something nice. So that's what I did. And then he came over and he said to me, what is a woman like you doing at an airport like this all on her own? And so I just started to talk. And when you're passionate about something, you can't keep it in, right? You just explode. And it was like, I want to open an orphanage and I'm here, I'm going to choose land and I'm going to meet a missionary. And it was all what we're going to do, right? And I was really excited. And he was like, oh, great, you know, good luck to you. And he went back to the end of the queue. And he thought I was crazy, right? So I didn't think anything else of it. And this was before mobile phones and he didn't have any contact for me whatsoever. So I went through customs and I met the missionary. We actually bought some land and we started, you know, the work to try and get this land ready for an orphanage. So I came back to Singapore about 2 weeks later and I was on my emails and an email popped up. Are you the tall blonde woman I met at the airport? Question mark. And I thought, wow, this is a bit strange. So I opened the email and it said, hi, my name is Chris. Are you the tall blonde woman I met at the airport who wouldn't stop talking about the orphanage? If you are, get in touch with me. Now, I spoke to all my girlfriends at the time and they're all saying, Sally, stay away. He's a creep. He's perverted. He's tracked you down. How has he found out about you? Because you didn't give him any of your contacts. But my intuition told me, give the guy a call. So I gave him a call and I said, look, how did you find out about me? Because this is before social media days even. And he just said, look, before I say anything else, I couldn't get your voice out of my head. It was going over and over and over in my head. And I knew I had to contact you. But before you start asking, I haven't got lots of money, so don't ask me for money. And I said, look, I'm not asking anybody for money, but how did you track me down? And he said, well, because I couldn't get your voice out of my head, I paid to put an advert on a website saying, has anybody met a tall blonde English woman who never stops talking about an orphanage? And he said, a lady that you had been on a bus going down Orchard Road, which is Singapore's main traffic way. She said she'd sat next to you and for the whole 15 minutes you were talking and talking and talking and you gave her your email. And she saw the advert and she connected you. And I thought, wow, this is really strange. So he said, look, I haven't got any money. And I said, look, Chris, I'm not after people's money, but, you know, by chance, but there's no such thing as chance, yeah, but by chance, the next week I had a meeting with sort of a random group of people that I'd met along the way. And I'd said to them all, come to my house. I want to talk to you about Project Orphanage, because I was still in the corporate mode, yeah. So I got this random group of like 15 people together and I had my flip chart and I was doing Project Orphanage and this is what I want to do and I'm going to raise money. So I had all these like 5 options to present to people. And this guy who I met at the airport called Chris, he came in, he sat at the back and didn't say anything. He was just sat there very quietly. So I started, you know, I'm going to shake tins. I'm going to raise money on Orchard Road. And then right on the front row, there was an old Chinese accountant who is from Singapore. So anything I said I wanted to do, he said, it's illegal, you can't do it, you need a work permit, not possible. So it was like, you know, when you're like all excited and every single thing you say I want to do, he turns around and he says you can't do. So I was like, huh? You know, all the 5 things I'd presented were no, 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 no. So then I just went quiet and I went inside and it was almost like I heard this voice saying, second-hand clothes. So I went a bit quiet and I thought, huh? Yes, what about this? All the people in Singapore, like expats, they have children. What do they do with the clothes? What do they do with the prams? What do they do with the pushchairs? Let me collect all of these things and I will ship them to Thailand. And the money that I get from that, I will start the orphanage. So my friend on the front row, who was Mr. Negative Accountant, started to say, you need a shipping permit, it's going to cost you a fortune, you need lorries, and all of this is going on. Anyway, at that moment, I looked up, and the guy from the airport, he's called Chris, his hand went up at the back like this, and he caught my eye. And he was actually crying. And I thought, what's going on with him? And he said, Sally, I know why I met you. I said, what? He says, I own a shipping company. I'll ship everything for free.
Amazing.
So that is how an orphanage started.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people who are joining now have similar stories. I have so many questions now because I heard this story a few times, but still having questions. And one question, of course, are you still have a connection with Chris?
Chris now is back in the UK and he owns a furniture factory. So yes, we still keep in touch, but not all the time, yeah, occasionally.
But what I feel is that changed your life.
Yeah, but it's really interesting, Maurice. It's all about when you listen to your intuition and you get a feeling you should do something, don't stop yourself from doing it. Mm-hmm. So, had I not just smiled and waved at that guy at the airport, the orphanage would not have happened. Yeah. And often we stop ourselves.
But in your story, you felt something. You looked at Chris, but he came to you. You're not.
No. But this is what happens, right? When you find your passion, when you find your purpose, it's almost like you're giving out this positive vibration, this really positive energy. And then people that can sense that positive energy are attracted back to you.
Understand.
So, I think that's why it's like a magnet effect, right? Once you move in the flow, once you really find what you're passionate about, great things start to happen to you and great people come into your life. You just have to be open and say yes to life.
Yes to life and yes to your feeling, and start with intuition. What is the definition of intuition?
So intuition, it all starts with the word in. So it's this inner feeling, this inner wisdom. It's not the mental thoughts. It's not your rational thoughts. It's like somebody nudging you forward. This feeling that you just know something. It's like an inner knowing. It's an inner tuition. It's an inner teaching that something is just right.
And can we learn that as a child, for example?
Maurice, you're born with it. You're born with it, but you're conditioned out of it. And I'll explain a bit more about the conditioning. But let me just expand on the orphanage because everything is like a jigsaw. So once the orphanage was built and I was working there with the children and we had 35 children, I realized that they didn't have any access to medicine and they could heal themselves. So they could use plants, they could use their mindset, they could use different ways of healing themselves. And here I was, a medical pharmacist, working for Boots. Yeah. And the minute you fall sick, you go running to the pharmacist and you buy a few dollars worth of things and you start taking external medicines. So when I saw this was like a big awakening experience for me because it took me on this whole journey then to understand the mind, the body, wisdom, meditation, Chinese metaphysics, you name it, I have studied it. I've been to India, I've been to China, I've been to Malaysia, I've been to India, I've been to Taiwan, I've been to all of these places, studying the mind and the ancient art of mind-body connection, health, healing, all of this. And then because of that, I just knew that my purpose and my passion in life was to open a center where other people can come and find their own passion, find their own purpose, and really bring out the best in themselves. So I opened SoulCentre in Singapore in 2004. And we work with adults and we work with companies and we help people understand what is their potential, what is their passion, what are their strengths, and really how to bring that out and how to live a life of passion and energy. Because we just have one life, Mm-hmm. Got to squeeze out the juice of this life. It's fun.
Yeah, but now in this lockdown, a lot of people are in a standstill, of course. Although offices, shops are opening again everywhere in the world, but I always had that question. Okay, what can we learn from this period? What can we learn from this year? How can we? Yeah, how can you teach them to follow your own intuition, your own feeling?
Yeah. Well, I believe that everything in life happens for a reason. So life is a series of ups and downs. It's a bit like going on a roller coaster. The minute you get on that roller coaster and you go up, you definitely know you're going to come down, right? You can't just keep going up and up and up and up and going nowhere. And similarly, when you've been down on that roller coaster, you know you're going to go up again. So if we go through life expecting it only to go one way, we're going to be unhappy. So for me, the lockdown is just, a temporary, it's a comma in life. It's a time to reflect on life. It's a time to think about what life is all about. It's like going into hibernation for 2.5 months and deciding, am I actually following the life I want to live? This old life, the universe has now given you a chance for 2 months to really think about, was that the right life that I was living? And do I want to go back to that life, or do I want to create something different? Or do I want time to reflect on something new? Because most people used to moan that they've never got any time to do anything. But now here we are, we've got 2 months of time, and people are now moaning that they've got too much time on their hands. So people are never happy. Yeah? So one of the things I want to mention, Maurice, is this word conditioning, because we're all conditioned. And we created this whole brand called SoulKids because we believe that every child is born with a promise and its potential. And it's a promise that says, who I can be is up to me. And even as adults, we still have that promise inside us, but some of us have never found our promise or fulfilled our promise. And some of us have never even started living a life of our fullest potential. It's almost like we're sort of sleepwalking through life. But there's a beautiful story, which I tell a lot of my clients. It's about a young girl called Mary, and she's only 6 and she goes to school for the first time. And she's a child who is 6. She's so full of life. And she goes into class and the teacher says, right, today we're going to do a painting exercise. And we're going to paint nature. So Mary's sitting there, super excited. Oh, I love nature. I'm going to paint the lakes. I'm going to paint the mountains. I'm going to paint the trees. And she gets a piece of paper and she's all ready to start painting. And the teacher says, stop, Mary, I've not told you exactly what you're going to paint. So Mary looks around and all the other children have put their painting down. So Mary copies what everybody else is doing. So the teacher then says, right, we're going to paint a flower. So again, Mary picks up her paintbrushes and she's so excited. I want to paint a sunflower. And she starts getting the yellow ready. And the teacher says, Mary, stop. I've not told you what flower you're going to paint. So Mary's a little bit confused, but she sits and she waits. And the teacher turns around and on her board, the teacher draws a flower, and it has a green stem and it has a red circle and red petals. And Mary looks at this flower that the teacher has drawn, and Mary thinks, this is not the flower that's in my mind. This is not the flower I want to paint. But she looks around and all the other children pick up their paintbrushes and they get the green stem and they get the red circle and they get the red petals. And this carries on with Mary. And a few years later, Mary's parents move city. So they go and live in another town. And again, Mary goes to a different school. And this time there is art class. And Mary goes into the art class and it's a different teacher, different students, but it's still an art class. So Mary goes into the art class and the teacher says, right, today we're going to paint. So 29 children pick up their paintbrushes and start painting. And Mary sits there. And the teacher's going around and all the children are doing what they're doing and Mary's sitting there and the teacher says to Mary, why are you sitting there? Do you not like painting? And Mary says, I love painting. So the teacher said, well, why don't you paint? So Mary said, well, you've not told me what to paint. So the teacher said, I don't have to tell you what to paint, Mary. You can paint anything that's in your imagination. Use your intuition, use your inner sense. What do you want to paint? You can paint anything. So Mary said, really, I can paint anything? And the teacher said, yeah, you can paint anything you want to. And the teacher walked away. So Mary picked up a paintbrush and she painted a flower. And it had a green stem and it had a red circle and it had the red petals. And Maurice, this is how we are conditioned. The children are born into parents who condition them. The children go to school, they're conditioned. The children go to a society, they're conditioned. The children go to a religion, they're conditioned. So I explain to people, it's almost like you're born as a seed. And that seed has massive potential. And if the seed is put in the ground with the right conditions, the right sunlight, the right rain, the right love, the right tender care, then that seed will grow into a beautiful plant. But if that same seed is thrown on the rocks, if that same seed has got no love, no attention, nobody protects it, nobody nurtures it, then the seed will never grow. But what I've realized over the years, and this is the joy that I explain to my clients, the seed will never lose its intelligence. So it doesn't matter to me what your past has been. If I find the seed now and I work with that seed to understand the clarity, that seed in the right conditions will now grow.
Thank you for this amazing story. And the connection, of course, and before I already shared that we have a surprise for the people that joined us. So are we ready to share it, the surprise? Or
I think we'll share the surprise after I share this amazing diagram that took me 20 years to learn. So I must be a very slow learner, Maurice, because this diagram is very simple. Yeah. This is called the yin and the yang, and everybody has seen this image. But, you know, for the last 15, 20 years, everything that I've studied goes back to this diagram. And this is really relevant now in COVID, because in life, there is always duality. There is black and there is white. There is day and there is night. There is male and there is female. There is pushing, there is pulling. So with COVID, we have all been so busy pushing, yeah? Building empires, racing around the clock, working 24/7. And COVID has come and told us, enough, you now need to go the other way. You need to get yourself back in balance. Duality, you've had all this pushing. Now it's time to take a bit of relaxation and a bit of rest and to start to think about your life. And the Chinese and the Indians, from this one diagram, they have identified what we call elements. And you can be classed as different elements. I'm going to explain about the elements, but the elements are a combination of energy. We give them words because we have to live in a world where we give things words, yeah? So the ancient Chinese called them metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. So these 5 elements. But then there is a yang element and a yin element. So these can be sort of 10 different combinations. And everybody listening to this webinar is simply made up of a combination of elements. That's what we break it all down to. And I'm going to put a link in the chat, and my team are going to be very happy to help people understand what their individual element is. So that's my gift.
Yeah, I saw already a couple of questions. How can I find my original seed? So
I think, yeah, I'm a gardener. That's what I should call myself, Sally the gardener. I'm going to find your seed and plant it in the right conditions, and then you will grow. So what happens, Maurice? At the time of your birth, it's almost like these elements come together and they're broken down into the year, the month, the day, and the hour. So if everybody knows the year of their birth, which we all know, the day and the month of their birth, we all know. If you know the hour, fine. If you don't worry. But by breaking it down, we can give you what we call the blueprint or the chart or the ingredient of your seed.
And you did it already with me.
I did it with you.
With children, with my wife. So you can take me as an example, Sally.
Yeah. So what most people come to me and they say, Sally, I know about my year. I'm born in the year of the dragon, or I'm born in the year of the rat. But you know, the year is not you. The year is just what you show to the world. It's almost like a different face. It's like your external appearance, yeah? What you show to the world, how you are socially, you know, what people see as Maurice when he's like out socially, but they don't really know who you are as a person. So then we look at your month, and your month is all about how you were conditioned as a child, but also how you behave at work. And then we look at your day, and this is you. This is you, raw and exposed. This is you, the seed. So you can be broken down into 5. And Maurice, you are the tree. You are Mr. Wood. And what does the...
I'm a part of forest, eh?
No, you're part of me. And today I'm wearing green, yeah, because it's a wood day. So what is the wood? The wood is somebody that wants to grow and branch out and create something new. So you have to be in a role where you branch out, where you create something new, where you evolve people, where you create new beginnings, where you have ambition because you want to grow tall and you want to grow wide. You don't just want to be a small little flower. You want to be this great tree that grows big and grows wide. And you're very determined, and you need to network. So if you network, you will be more successful. And wood people are people like Oprah Winfrey and Richard Branson.
Oh, great examples.
You can be half Oprah, half Richard Branson. So that is wood. So if you have wood in your chart, you have those characteristics. Then after wood, there is fire. And these people inspire. Fire is inspirational, transformational. They're very passionate. They're very creative. And they're very confident. And they will light up the room. When you meet somebody who's got fire in their chart, they literally light up the room, right? Which is why you've mentioned Vikas. Vikas is fire. And you said that when he was on the stage, he inspired you so much. Because that's the fire. It's almost like a candle that lights the wisdom in other people, or the sun that gives the energy to the world.
But then my funny question is, of course, wood and fire, does that go well together?
Of course, because the wood needs the sun to grow. So wood and fire is good. The wood cannot on its own, will be very cold without the fire. So wood needs the fire, and wood supports the fire. So fire people are Tony Robbins, and even people like Steve Jobs. So people with a real passion for what they're wanting to do, real determination for what they're wanting to do.
And then
go on.
And what are you?
Secret. Not come to it yet, Maurice. Then we have the earth, the earth people, right? These are the mountain people. These are the soil. These are the people that grow other people. But they're very mysterious, they're very strong, they survive a long time, and they're very self-driven, and they nurture other people. So they're very good at nurturing people, and you also have this in your chart. And they're very connected. And it's very interesting because 3 really important people in America are Earth. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump.
Amazing.
All Earth.
Amazing. And it has nothing to do with us, with the horoscope, does it?
This element is deeper than the horoscope, right? If you talk about horoscopes, you class everybody born in the same month together, yeah? But with this is unique for your date and time of birth. So this is unique for their date and time of birth. All 3 of them have come out as Earth people. So this means that America needs stability because they're manifesting presidents who bring this element of Earth, right? So they need, America for some reason needs Earth. Then we have the metal people who are the shiny diamonds and the jewelry. And these are valuable people who can solve problems, right? They can cut through, they can shape things. They're very intelligent. They have to shine bright. They learn quickly. They're very refined. And Angelina Jolie is metal, and the Queen of England. So metal women can be quite tough, right? Because particularly for a tree, they can shape you. They can get the axe and chop at your tree. So they can shape you and make you something more beautiful. And then finally, you have the water people, and these are the big picture transformational people. They take on the shape of any container that they're in. They always move fast, yeah? They're always on the go. They're very forceful. They have to flow. They're very mysterious. And usually these people are super wealthy and super connected. So Ellen DeGeneres is water, and people like Bill Gates is water.
Yeah, my wife is water as well. Huh? Yes,
your wife is water. So she's quite a powerful lady.
Yeah. She's now to Amsterdam airport. She's an air hostess, so she finally can maybe work again and fly to all places. Just in short, I see some questions in the chat. I try and see if we can answer them. But it's your stories are so amazing, and we would like to give a lot in this webinar in the 60 minutes. One question, of course, if you don't know your name or your birth date, what then? If you don't know the date of birth, okay, then it's pretty difficult to do anything because we need the date of birth. So if you know the year you're born, at least that can give us a little bit of an idea. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. How can you support a child who has had a tough start in life? Thank you, Dana, for your question. Good one. All right. So remember what I said about every child is born with a promise, and we have this whole program of SoulKids for children. So even if a child as a seed has had a tough start, I believe that once we help parents understand what skills their child has, then this child can grow into a much more strong, confident adult. And we actually, Maurice, have SoulKids coaches in Holland. We have SoulKids coaches in Romania. We have SoulKids coaches in Singapore who work with children to help them understand their you know, what are the skills, how they can gain more confidence, how they can bring this out. And we teach children through stories, through exercises, and stories stay with people forever. So the children really can understand it, they really can get it. So as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter to me what your past has been like. What matters to me is what we can do now with your present and take that forward into the future. Nice, nice. And I also saw Anton in our chat. He joins, he helps you with the movement in the Netherlands, in this part of the world of SoulKids. Let's move on. We only have 20 minutes and would love to go to the next step, to go deeper. Okay, so what I do with people is I help them understand their strengths, yeah? So once you get clarity as to what your elements are, and it's a combination of these elements. So it's almost like you come with different ingredients, and then how do we use these ingredients to make something that's valuable to the world and that you can make a difference in the world with? So that's what I do. I help teams understand everybody's strengths, and I help couples understand strengths. Because, you know, unless you know who you are, it's very difficult to know what anybody else is like. Because it's almost like you see the world through your own eyes. So, you know, if you're a wood person who likes to grow, it'll be hard for you to understand somebody that doesn't like self-development, for example, or somebody that doesn't want to expand themselves. So I work with people, I work with couples, I work with companies to help understand this is this person's skill, this is this person's skill, this is this person's skill, and how can we combine all those together? So once you've got your skill set, then you have to think, what do I want to create with this? So you look at your conditioning, you sort out clarity, and then you think, what am I going to create? And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong, because they start to think about, what should I do? What job should I do? What job should I do? And I explain to my clients, it's not about doing, it's about what do you want to become. Because what do you want to be known for? You know, what legacy do you want to leave as a person? Because that is what is most important. You know, nobody will ever say, oh, she was amazing because she had a great BMW and a nice white sofa and some red shoes, right? All the external things aren't important. But people might say, oh, she inspired one person, or because of her, I changed my life, or because of her, you know, I made a different decision in my life. So you've got to think, it's not about what do I want to be, it's about what do I want to become. You know, do you want to be a person that, you know, helps the poor? Do you want to be a person that is inspirational? Do you want to be a person that grows others? Do you want to be a person that brings out the strength in other people? What is it you want to become? Let us ask in the chat. Maybe people know already what they want to become. So please share it with us. Yeah, tell us what you want to become. But, you know, becoming a great person is the trick. Becoming a great person is the trick.
So once you know your strengths, you just have to bring those to the world and give those to the world. And you do it in a way where you're very authentic, you're very honest with people, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know you're a person of your word. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. Because I put a post on Facebook the other day, and it's quite funny, you know. A lot of people do this, what you do in secret, you don't. Because the energy knows what you're doing in secret. So if you tell a fib, you know it. All right? If you cheat on your taxes, you know it. If you have an affair and nobody else finds out, but you know it. You know? So you have to be a person of your word. You have to be a person of integrity. And you just have to be a great person. And if you come out as a great person and you give your best to the world day in, day out, then whatever roles you go in, you will succeed.
There's a question, of course. I think many people, also the people who are not joining, how? The how question. Of course, I want to be this, but how? Do people have to make it smaller then?
Right. You have to move into a space where you trust your intuition and you follow your intuition. So you will get this feeling, I really want to do this. But then your mind will say, yes, but, or maybe not, or but what if? Or what will your friends say?
Or Mr. Negativity accountant.
Or it's not possible. It's not possible. It's like, what? Who's telling me it's not possible? Yeah. So you have to move into this space where you trust your intuition. And only you can do that. You've got to get your logical mind out of the way, because it's your logical mind that's starting to mess up people, mess up yourself, mess up your relationships, everything. You've got to follow your heart. And you work with somebody who's walked the path before you. So it's almost like you get yourself a coach. So, if you want to be a good gardener, you find somebody that's done gardening before and they can coach you. If you want to be an inspiration, you find somebody that's been inspirational before and they can coach you. If you want to be a good footballer, you find yourself a great football coach and they will coach you. So no matter what you want to be, you have to, first of all, have the courage to do that. And courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is acting in spite of the fear. And your life will expand if you are courageous, but your life will shrink if you are fearful and scared. And I've seen this so many times. It's the people that have got the courage to say, I'm really going to do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. They will break through and they will succeed.
And people must know, because you shared with me last week a metaphor about, of course, I'm wood, about the tree, how a tree grows. Can you explain it to the people here?
Yeah. So a tree can only grow tall if it puts down strong roots. So the first thing a tree needs is the right environment to grow in. So it needs the soil, it needs nourishing, it needs the right environment. So a tree that has been brought up in the right environment and nurtured and protected will start to put down very strong roots. And then once the roots are down, then it starts to grow upright and it grows tall, it grows tall, it grows tall, and then it starts to branch out. So a tree, the stronger its trunk, the stronger its roots, the more it can branch out and the more it can inspire other people. But I think sometimes what happens, Maurice, is we think we know what we want, and then we get on social media and we see somebody else doing something else, and it's like the shiny syndrome. You look over there and you think, oh, I want a bit of that. And then you forget what you want and you start trying to be somebody else. There is no point trying to be an imitator of somebody else, because that is not who you are. That is not who you are. You have to find your passion using the elements, which I've just explained, and I'll help people with that if they, put their name and address there. Because if you're metal, you're going to behave in a different way to if you're water. If you're wood, you're going to behave in a different way to if you're fire. There is no point somebody who's the candle wanting to be the tree. There's no point somebody who's the raindrop wanting to be the jewelry. And that is what I find. It's when people want to be something that they're not, they get lost. And that is conditioning. You know, they're still painting the flower with the green stem and the red petals. And we've got to stop that. We've got to see, who are you? What's your intuition telling you are? And follow that. And Maurice, I'll be very honest. One of the things people said to me was, Sally, you're crazy. You've given up this job, this career, this massive salary, this 6-bedroom house, BMW, to go to Asia and open an orphanage. You must be mad, right? You will never earn the same money you're earning now. Maurice, I have increased my salary. How have I done it? Because I'm doing what I love. When you do what you love, you give everything to it, and opportunities come like strawberries in Holland.
But it was, of course, people must understand it was not from one day. You must continue believing in yourself, in your feeling, in your intuition. And of course, maybe a question that I have, how were your parents thinking of that step?
How are what?
Your parents, your own parents. How did
my father? My
father,
my father now is 92. He still treats me like his little girl. I'm still his little girl. I still call him daddy when I go home. And now he's very proud of me. You know, he's very proud of me. But you know, the thing is, when you realize you're enough on your own, that's when you're truly rich. So you cannot live your life seeking approval from other people.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot. You cannot. And me and my dad, you know, when I first left, there were a few ups and downs. But all the way through, I said to him, look, Dad, I love you, but I need to do this. I need to know who I am. I need to follow my own heart. I still love you. I still love who you are, but I need to follow my heart. And now we're fine. But we did go through some ups and downs. But all the way through, Maurice, I kept the communication going. You know, I kept the lines open, and now everything is fine. But it was his disappointment. But the thing is, he sees the world through different eyes.
Yeah.
And we'll never.
Of course, you know my parents, of course, and you feel the same. And I think a lot of people feel the same. It's yeah. You have to be the author. What Vickers always telling me of your own life, and trust your feeling. Yeah. And of course, people have dreams, but the action is sometimes missing. And you can help them. You have a beautiful soul center in Singapore with Vickers, and of course, I'm that tree that would love to connect you both with people that I connect because of the tree. I'm not sure where I am at the moment, but it feels like my tree is growing.
Yeah. And with the lockdown period, Maurice, we've been doing a lot of group work. So I'm doing a lot of group work now with women on finding your passion and finding your purpose. And I take groups of 10 women through, you know, a series of 6 Zoom calls. And it's really helping them move forward, because it's almost like they can, first of all, express themselves, then they can find themselves, then they've got somebody who, I explain it this way to them, yeah? If you want to learn to swim, and you stand by the swimming pool and you read all the books, then you watch a video on Google, you know, then you Google a bit more, then you watch a YouTube video, you will never learn to swim. You will only learn to swim when somebody goes behind you and pushes you in the pool. So sometimes you need that little push in the pool, which is only in the shallow end, for you to start moving around and thinking, hey, I quite like this. I quite like this. This is something new.
Now I know what you are, Sally. You are Angelina Jolie.
Absolutely. It's all about, you know, if you go through life and life is a struggle, then you're not in the passion, you're not finding your purpose, and you're not in the flow of life, you're not in your zone. So life should not be a struggle.
Yeah.
Seriously, life should not be a struggle. Look at a 2-year-old, 3-year-old child. Everything is a wonder. Everything is exciting. Everything is just, wow, I love it. I want to see more. We get older and we get older and we get conditioned, and we get conditioned, and we start worrying, and that's a misuse of your imagination. You spend all your time stressing out. Just free yourself, you know? Follow your intuition. Free yourself.
Yeah. How long did it take? How long did it take that journey for you? From pharmacy business, thinking, trust your feeling, jump in, and of course in the beginning, a new journey, a new world, and then, yes, this is it. How?
Okay. So 1997 was the big turning point when my mum died, and that was like the first, down. And then by 2000, I was in Thailand opening the stores. So then I was back up on a high again, and then they sent me back to the UK, and it was a downer again. So it was around 2004, 2005 that we opened SoulCentre in Singapore. And from then on, it was almost like I was in the flow. Everything that I was learning was coming to me at the right time. I was meeting the right teachers. I was getting the right exposure. I was talking on bigger stages. I met you, then you brought me to Europe. It's all dots, connecting the dots,
Don't forget Vikas. He's on fire in the chat. You don't...
Vikas is on fire. He's on fire.
He is really on fire.
But Maurice, I like to say to people, there are two important days, yeah? The day you're born and the day you find out why you're born.
Yeah.
Because when you find out why you're born, and that is like your North Star. So for me, I am born to inspire and to bring out the best in other people. So if you ask me to do something that doesn't resonate with inspiration or bringing out the best in people, my answer will be no. And I think this is really important. So for you as the tree who's growing and expanding and developing others, if you're giving an opportunity that will grow people, then the answer is yes. But if you're giving an opportunity where you're going to be limiting people or trampling on other people or cheating people, then the answer is no. So you have to open your heart to that way of living. And, Vikas and I were quite private people. We only let a small group of people in what we call our inner circle, because the energies of people around you are also very important. So we will mix with people who are authentic, who are following their heart, who are being true to themselves, who aren't copying the whole world, right? They know who they are. They're doing what they're doing with their life. They're confident with who they are. They don't need this external recognition, and they're just going for it. And they're our closest friends. We've had clients who've been with us since 2004, and they're still with us now, and they're still coming to learn from us now. And these are people that when there is nothing lacking in the world, you can deal with anything. You know that the world is your oyster. There is no lack in the world. The world belongs to us. There is no lack in the world.
Beautiful.
There is lack in our minds.
When I did that tour last year in Europe with you and Vikas, you also shared that you're coming often to England, to a beautiful spot there. Can you share a bit of that beautiful spot? You take some people to join.
Yeah. We do a retreat every year to a place called the Lake District, which is beautiful and untouched. And this, again, was a woman's vision over maybe 200 years ago. She decided that this place on earth was so beautiful that she didn't want anybody to destroy the nature. So she bought all the land, and it's now a National Heritage Centre and a national park. So you can go there and you can go walking around the lakes, you can go up in the mountains, and you can be on your own for hours. And this is another way you get intuition. So Vikas and I will take clients there, we'll take groups of people there every year, and we do a lot of work on, finding your passion, finding your purpose, really understanding who you are and what you want from life. And the thing is, Maurice, there's no right and wrong answer. Mm-hmm. Some ladies say to me, Sally, I just want to be the best mum I can be. And I say to them, fantastic. Mm-hmm. Do that and do it to your best of your ability, and don't worry what anybody else says. Because if that is your passion, that is your purpose, you're going to be amazing at doing that. But then just remember, in 20 years' time, the role of mum has gone. So then you're going to have to think about what is your role then. So people's roles can change as they go through, but usually there's this underlying current, this underlying passion or purpose that people have got.
Yeah. I'm looking at the time, Sally.
Okay.
You just before the webinar, you share with me please can you share a quote of Einstein?
Oh, I love this quote, and they say it's from Einstein, but you never really know, right? Because you don't know what's on the internet, whether it's true or not true. But it's a quote that I love. You know, the intuitive mind is a gift. We're given this intuition, and the rational mind is there to serve us, right? The rational mind keeps us safe. But we created a society that honors the rational mind, which is our servant, and forgets the gift. So we all live in our rational minds, and we have to move and live in our intuitive minds. Move into your intuition. If your gut tells you it's right, do it. Beautiful. If your head talks you out of it, then you're forever going to stay small. Beautiful. And I want everyone to experience this feeling of a fuller, happier, fulfilled life, where you can manifest the relationship that you want, you manifest the job that you want, you manifest the property that you want, you manifest the friends that you want, you manifest the strawberries that you want.
Keep on the strawberries in it.
I manifested the chocolate. Yeah.
Did everybody see the strawberries?
Because once you get in that energy, you know, just waving at a guy at an airport led to an orphanage. 35 children who are now computer literate, bilingual, who will then go on and plant new seeds, new seeds, new seeds. So life, we're like gardeners. We all have to keep planting seeds. Yeah.
Let's keep in mind we are all a seed, and we are all unique. We are all special. We all have to follow our own intuition, our own feeling. I keep on going and listening to your story, Sally. I'm sure we must do it another time for 90 or 2 hours. I love your story. I love listening to you. Thank you for having you in this beautiful webinar. Please, people, sign up, because everyone wants to know if they are, what's their main
the main element.
Yeah, main element. Is there a thing you want to share? Your last?
Yeah, so I'm really, really happy to support your clients, Maurice. You know, thank you for this opportunity. And as I always say, things don't happen by chance. The universe has meant for this to happen. So even if we just influence one person on the webinar tonight, then our job has been done. So if anybody, you know, needs some help understanding what their element is, then, you know, please connect with me. If anybody needs coaching or group coaching, please connect with me. And then all those people that find out their trees, they can all connect with Maurice and decide whose tree is the biggest tree, whose tree is the best tree. And then ego starts taking over. My tree's better than your tree. And then that's a whole new webinar, Maurice, on let's stop comparing and just be happy with the tree that we've got.
That's also true. That's just be your own you.
Just be me and your own you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sally. Thank you so much for this very special webinar. Next time we have a catch-up webinar on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Amsterdam time. For you, 6 hours. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I guess. Yeah, it could be 5 o'clock in Singapore. We have Peter Turin from Melbourne. Easy to do, easy not to do. Together with Unstoppable Tracy in Toronto. So she will wake up at 5 a.m. to do the webinar. And in Melbourne, it will be 7 in the evening. In Amsterdam, it will be 11 a.m. Yeah, I already told you. So I would love to welcome you there on Tuesday, everyone. And don't forget, the Thursday, we have a very, 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 very special guest. It's 𝒃𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒄𝒏𝒈𝒄𝒏𝒄 from the New York best-selling author from Never Eat Alone. And he just published his new book, Leading Without Authority, about co-elevating. So welcome you there. Thank you for having you all. Thank you, Sally, again. And
You're welcome.
when planes are flying again, I jump on the plane because from Amsterdam to Singapore, it's one direct flight with the best air company there is, and it is KLM. Okay, thank you, everyone.
I look forward to seeing the flying tree.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.